Hi everyone, Gerard Scarpacey here, craft hairdresser, co-founder of the Hairbrain community. It's been a while since I've been with you guys here on Facebook, so I'm excited to have this opportunity. I've been very busy over at Instagram Live and curating that channel, bringing in a lot of incredible educators every day. Just finished up with our friend Travis Smith, so now it's my turn. I thought I'd share with you guys something that I've shared with you before, but I don't think can be shared too much. How to use the straight edge razor, or what I like to call a folding razor, this is the feather plie, to craft beautiful, classic long layers. So I'm starting off here first by trimming the length. And I think lots of times people maybe think you can't cut a line with a razor, but you absolutely can. You just really have to understand rotation and stroke. So what am I doing here? I'm just going to turn around so you guys can get a better angle. When I want to cut a line, even a soft, either soft or clean, and I'll show you the differences. Let's say I'm down here. If I want to cut a really clean line with the razor, I do what's called edge cutting with a closed stroke. Can we see that, Cal? Mm-hmm. You see how clean that is? Almost like a scissor, just with a slight bit of texture on it. If I want to soften it a little bit more, I do edge cutting with a slightly more open stroke. That just means bigger, deeper. And then if I want to go even softer than that, which is what I'm doing here, I open it up a little bit more, maybe even about an inch, up and down. Now that's the stroke. Now the other thing to think about is the rotation. And to me, that's the angle of the blade in relationship to the fingers that are holding it. Right now, my blade is T to my fingers. We call that edge cutting. All right, that's going to give you a lot more definition and control of lines. Now, here, I've pre-sectioned for my layered shape. I'm just starting off by trimming the outline. I want to check it for balance. Feels pretty good. A little heavy on the left. Now, it's very often for me, what I like to do is do a little scissor checking, especially on the outline if it's a really important kind of part of the haircut. So here, just doing a little point cutting on the side that's a little heavy. You know, why not check it with the razor? Because it's going to also add more weight removal, more texture. So if it's just a matter of being a tiny bit longer, I'd prefer to check it with the scissor. And now we're right on track. I want to say hello to our friends. My wife Kelly is behind me. We've been in quarantine now for, I don't know, how long is it?
Very, very long time.
Very long. You know, fortunately, we're in sunny Southern California, so we still have the outside and we can bring it indoors with us by just opening up the sliding doors and stuff. But hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. Give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. And of course, if you have any questions, Kelly would definitely read those questions to me, won't you, Cal?
Of course. Just want to take a moment and say hello to everyone tuning in. We've got some regulars here with us: Frank Mussolino, Sona Brado, Michaela, Kevin Martin, Renee Stone. Welcome, everybody.
Well, it's great to have all our friends here together. I mean, we're trying to stay connected through Instagram, Facebook, by doing education, by sharing music, which we've been doing on Instagram on Saturday nights. We've had fun with a house party. If any of you guys have watched that, you get to see my other passion, which is DJing, which for me, it's been a silver lining of quarantine here. It's helped me really be able to have the time to do it. It's something that I had to kind of put on the back burner with traveling so much and, you know, spending so much time just doing things for Hairbrain, which we still are, but now I'm not traveling. Okay, so what did I just do? I removed weight. I didn't really talk you guys through it. But I came in, I elevated a little bit, I went straight in, also edge cutting. I went straight into the hair, and then I gently, with my fingers about an inch or two up and down, stroked out in a vertical weight removal there. Then I came back to the ends and did a little bit more. So this, you know, is kind of, other than that, this stays dormant through the haircut. It's not going to get affected much more. This is the overall length of the shape, and it's where all the layering is going to build off of. So now I'm going to jump to the front. You can see the sectioning here, it curves like the hairline. And here we're also curving just gently up. I leave this hair out for the moment, and we're going to add that into the shape as we do our face frame, which gradually works us into our long layers. So I'm going to look at this length from the back, and I'm just going to cheat a little bit by estimating the length here at the front. I'm going to close the stroke more here in the front because the hair obviously is thinner in front of the ear. So just gently getting my length in. So those lengths kind of match up. I'm going to do the same here. Again, you can use any type of razor. I use the folding razor. I use the feather plie. This is available at hairbrain.pro for those of you that are, maybe razor loving and want to go to the next level. But all the lessons that I'm teaching can be completely used with any type of razor.
So right now you're just matching the length from the back to the front.
That's correct. So you can see here generally. I like to work with a little bit of light product in the hair. Today I'm using Curly Twist from our friends at Goldwell. I want to thank Goldwell and Cow for what they're doing for the industry and for Hairbrain. They've continued to support us and sponsor us through these difficult times. And they've got the Cow Salon Initiative where they're really kind of doing as much marketing as they can to let people all over the world know to wait for their hairdresser and that we're going to be there to take care of them real soon. I think some of you guys are back in the salon, so hopefully everything's going well. You're staying safe and taking care of your clients and they're loving it. Okay, so now I want to start to create my face frame. So what needs to happen is I want to let this hair fall in natural fall. I want to start to use bias blade because I don't want a hard line. I used edge cutting in the hairline in the back. Here I'm going to use a diagonal blade. I'm going to put my fingers right below the lip, blade diagonal to my fingers. The stroke will be kind of medium closed. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm unzipping that hair. Means like if my fingertips had a zipper, and I'm just pulling the zipper through. Using the fine teeth of my Tough comb. This is my favorite razor comb. It's a carbon comb, and it gives me incredible control. Gently, same pressure. The tension in my fingers is good, but the connectivity with the razor is very, very gentle. And I work my way down towards that existing length. Now I'm going to come to the opposite side and do the same thing. So it's important to make sure that my blade is in the same rotation as it was on the opposite side. This is where we can sometimes get lost. Coming here, making sure it's diagonal to my fingers, but focusing more on the heel of the blade and gently getting started. Nice rhythm, gentle pressure. Work your way all the way through. And now continue. Don't grab more than you can handle, just from the fingertip to the knuckle. Once I reach the knuckle, I generally stop cutting. And stop. And continue through. Now it's typical that the length in this first section will diminish a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. Because you're going to build that up as you get around to the back. Feeling for balance from side to side. Okay, I was a little bit light-handed on my second side, so I'm going to go through it again. Also common.
Ashley was saying she doesn't have the confidence to do this. What are some key points while she's working on her mannequin?
Okay. Confidence comes with practice. So you can definitely use a guarded razor to start off with, if that's what you're referring to, the razor itself. And then I really recommend you learn how to be safe. I'm assuming she needs the confidence in terms of safety. And this is what you need to learn. It's called lock and load. Anyone that's trained with me knows how important this is. If you take your pointer finger and put it on the comb, like you normally would, you've got a floppy razor that can easily cut you or cut anything that gets in its way. If you take your pointer finger and lock it around the razor and pull it away and use these fingers to comb, you're going to get a lot more confident because you're going to feel safe. And safe equals confident, practice equals confident. Okay, checking for balance again. Much better my second time. I was a little bit cautious my first go through. Now it's perfectly fine to also check with your scissor a little bit. Again, if that gives you confidence in the technique, you can come through. And sometimes on those first guidelines, I'd rather you spend some time making sure you're confident and refined and balanced. Now again, hopefully not a lot is coming off. But if a lot needs to come off, it can teach you where you need to correct, maybe where you're kind of off track a little bit. Laying it over my hands and just checking the ends of the hair. It also helps to seal the ends of the hair a little bit. I think of this, I call it air cutting and sealing. It's like putting that zero gloss over a beautiful, juicy kind of red hair color. It shouldn't change it. It should just help it to last longer, be shinier and more beautiful.
Now, Ashley was mentioning the confidence comes with her with the balance from left to right side.
You know what? It's always going to be a challenge, and that's what makes a great hairdresser. If you're worried about balance and you're checking, I never take it for granted. I will say I spend at least twice as much time on the first section than I will on the rest of the sections. And I will say, I go through it, I go over it, I check it in my fingers, I check it with the comb, I check it with the scissor, you know, so it's a good thing to be aware of. And just practice, practice, practice. But you know, you have to think sometimes beyond yourself. If you're having a lot of trouble with balance, it probably has something to do with body positioning. That happens a lot. So really work in front of a mirror when you can, or put your little iPhone on a tripod and just videotape yourself from 5 feet away, social distance with your phone. And then watch afterwards your body position from left to right. What we do naturally is not always the best thing for balance. We have to think about a mirror image when we try to create balance. Next section, natural fall, but with a little bit of elevation or projection off the head shape. Roots are falling naturally, but I'm beginning to elevate and comb slightly off the head shape. Bias blade, a little more open now. And very important to have a nice rhythm to how we unzip that hair. So is anyone watching in the salon now? I know some of us across the States and certainly across the world are getting back to work. If anyone's in the salon, let us know where you are, where you're from, if everything's going okay. You know, those of us in California, New York, some other states, obviously we want to hear what it's like. You know, we want to get back to work when we can, hopefully sooner rather than later. And we want to be safe. So how's it going for you if you're back in the salon? Please let us know. And what are your clients saying? What are they thinking? I've heard a lot of great stories. People say the clients are so grateful. They're respecting safety. Okay, so coming in now, before I even cut the length, I'm going to do what I like to call slicing. I'm not going to do it right in front of the ear, just in the temple and on the top of the head. So this just puts in some invisible layering behind the face frame. Continue to elevate. Now I cannot stress enough how important it is to master this technique to be successful in the salon with razor cutting. And it's also the mother of many other types of shag. So here we're gonna come away with a long layer, not a shag, but I guarantee you if you understand this cut and you're able to execute it well, you'll naturally be able to do beautiful shags with the razor. Continuing through, always looking at my length behind the ear here. This has to gradually, between this space here, match to this here. Otherwise you end up with a mullet. So that's kind of mullet control 101. Unless you want a mullet, then you can deliberately make sure that it doesn't match. So it's just as good. All right, the head shape is changing now. I'm going from the front roundness of the head into the flatter part of the head. I'll tend to put the head down a little bit now to help me elevate. And I want to start to project this hair out and up a little bit more away from natural fall. Slicing first, really just focusing on the last third of the hair just to get some chunkiness in the ends. Coming through. Combing. You'll notice my hand starts to naturally rotate, the hand that's holding there. I'm turning around, Kel, so they can get a shot this way. So instead of being so flat, since I know I'm trying to lift more and more, the beauty of this haircut is you take a face frame, proportion it the way you want it, and gradually elevate it and rotate your hand more and more until it becomes kind of an inverted or concave layering, where it's shorter on the inside and longer on the outside, which gives us lots of beautiful movement and texture. Last section here before we transition, but I'll probably do the other side first just to keep my balance going. You can definitely go back and forth here if that helps as well. But you can see this is kind of a point where I'm going to drop the mannequin down. The apex of the head is, I'm approaching that, so that means the head's getting higher. So again, for my body position, I've lowered her down a little bit. Slicing first, every inch or so on the ends of the hair. Not too close to the top of the ear because that's where my length is. We'll keep that light. Now opening my stroke. Working my way through. Unzipping the hair is what I like to call it. I heard that saying many, many years ago from my friend Robert Cromeans. He called it unzipping when he was sliding through. And I stole it immediately and I've used it ever since. You know, all the best ideas kind of come from other people, don't they? See that now? This is what I'm looking for. This is relating to this. So I'm safe. I've got plenty of face framing. I could maybe add more texture later if I want to. What I'm definitely going to do is spray a little bit more of the Goldwell Curly Twist here. Just to let this kind of settle in and bring out the texture while I continue on to the opposite side. Okay, body position now. I have to really think about where I was here because I want to be a mirror image. I was my knee to her knee for the first couple sections. Then I just moved out a little bit and my body went from this position to this position. Now when I come over here, I need to be a mirror image. Otherwise I'm never going to get, no matter how good everything else is in my hands, if my body's not the same, it'll be close to impossible to get good balance here. Sectioning through, vertical diagonal back, using the guideline that was previously created here when I was matching my balance, and always being aware of the length behind the ear. Just get this a little more neatly out of the way. A little bit of projection off the base or elevation, but still in natural fall. If you start taking this, if you take it out of natural fall towards the center of the head, it's automatically going to become more layered through the top and you're going to get into more shag. Shag to me means there's a lot more layers through the top and through the inside of the head. Long layers, you know, typically the layers on the top of the head are very, very related to the longest layer. They're not dramatically shorter. Okay, continuing through. Now I'm going to start to use some slicing to remove some weight as I follow through. Hopefully we have some of our friends watching from around the country, around the world.
We do. Well, Nanette is here, as well as people from India, Iran, the UK.
Everybody's watching. That's great. I know there's been, you know, so much education, which is wonderful. I think, you know, too much of a good thing is wonderful. So I have so much love for all my fellow hairdressers that are out there. I know this weekend, on Sunday, we've got a big day. We are doing a social-a-thon for Sam Villa, which will be raising money. I'll be on for, I think, 45 minutes or so. Teaching. I haven't figured out what I'm going to teach yet. What do you guys want to see? It's a big day. There's going to be people every hour for like 24 hours. And there's going to be a chance to donate, even $1, $2, and all that money is going to go to PBA to help with COVID relief for professional hairdressers. PBA is the Professional Beauty Association. Elevating, slicing, those last ends of the hair, last thirds of the hair. You can see the blade just peeking through. Stay away from the top of the ear, and again, continue. You know, the beauty of razor cutting is once you get comfortable holding the razor, it's like sketching and sculpting into the hair. It's one of the things that I fell in love with it. I love the haircuts to be simple. I very rarely overcomplicate or maybe complicate. When I want to do complicated haircuts, I tend to do them with the scissor. I feel a bit more like an architect with a scissor, where with the razor, for me, it's like sculpting. And I love that just as much.
Jennifer West is piping in with her 2 cents. She says short hair for women, extreme pixie would be awesome to see.
Awesome, and you know what? If you want to see that right now, you can head to my Instagram TV at Gerard Scarpacey. I think I've got 2 or 3 short haircuts up there in full. You know, we've done a lot of lives here, and I've done that a few times, different versions, scissor, razor, Gerard Scarpacey on Instagram. I've got a lot of full lessons up there on my Instagram TV. Okay, so now we've got the face framing on both sides. Again, at this point, sometimes I'll stop and check, and I want to let you guys in on something. So you see these? These are Matsuzaki scissors. This is a box from the 90s. One of our main scissor importers had told me that they have found a whole case full of Matsuzaki scissors from the 90s that have never been used. So they're actually brand new condition from the 90s. And what I'm thinking here, I've been testing them all out in their beautiful Matsuzaki quality. He really just wants to liquidate them and get rid of them. So we're going to be able to offer these very soon on on hairbrain.pro for no more than $150. Now this is a great Japanese scissor, a true Japanese scissor. Matsuzaki is one of the legendary scissor companies. Again, they were made in the 90s. They've all been checked, and we'll continue to check them all to make sure that they're in beautiful condition, which they are. This one's called the AXR. For those of you who are familiar with Matsuzaki, it's very similar to a 5-star, same shape. So I'm having these all shipped to me. I'm going to inspect every single one, even after they were inspected by our scissor importer. And then we're going to get them out there. So you'll be able to, because I hear a lot of people saying they'd rather have a few pairs of scissors to work with different clients. So these will all be $150. There's something like 6 different types out there. So look for them soon. We're probably even going to do a pre-sale because I think there's going to be a lot of need.
Nanette is just wondering if I was a little bit far away. Can we get a little bit close up on that scissor, please?
Sure. So if you're familiar with Matsuzaki at all, Matsuzaki is a legendary Japanese company. Everything's in the original packaging, beautiful packaging from the early 90s, I believe it is. And if you're familiar with Matsuzaki, this is the same shape. It used to be my favorite scissor, the 5-star. It's technically not a 5-star, it's called an AXR, but it's the same exact shape. It's very familiar to me, and they feel beautiful. Again, because they were kind of essentially found, we're able to offer them at a great price, and that'll be available soon. I think there's 5 or 6 different styles, so that hopefully there'll be something for everyone. Okay, so you can see what's happening here. Face framing, textured graduation into the outline in the back. Now this is where the hair gets the most layering. I'm going to start to pivot off the crown. I'm going to clip the unneeded hair out of the way. I'm going to use the guideline from behind the ear, tilt the head down, turn around this way perhaps a little. Now we're getting the most elevation off the apex. The projection is much higher than it's been anywhere else.
Ashley was wondering, what size are those scissors?
Those particular ones are about 5.5 inches, but in the lot of scissors that we found, there's everything ranging from 5 up to about 6. So they're, when we have them available, which will be any day now, there's kind of something for everyone. There was nothing really larger than 6. But we've got 5s, 5.5s, and 6s in that lot that we found. Pivoting around the head. And all different styles of handles and different, some of them are offset, some of them are crane. So it's exciting for me. I love tools, and to be able to, I know that everyone, still is going to need new tools, but perhaps the really expensive stuff, we might need to hold off for a minute. So to be able to find something that I can think is amazing, but also be able to sell it at a price to my fellow hairdressers that, is going to help them right now, I think is also amazing.
James Arvanitis is
James,
here. He
what's up,
says
buddy?
that he's here and he misses you and all this good stuff. How will we know when these scissors are available? Are there lefties?
Unfortunately, no lefties. Sorry, guys. The lefties hate me.
Yes, they do. We're terrible
But
to
there were
lefties.
no lefties in the mix there. They will any day now. So watch Hairbrained Official on Instagram. Watch my personal Instagram. Check us on Facebook. I have, like as I said, the person who imports the scissors for me, he's inspected them all, and he, says that everything's in beautiful condition. But I ask that they first be sent to me so that I can look at every single pair and make sure that they're craft hairdresser quality, which I know they are. It's like finding, it's like finding some Ferraris that have been in a garage somewhere for 30 years, which is kind of awesome. Again, anybody that is unfamiliar with Matsuzaki, just Google it. I know, nowadays Japanese scissors are, maybe kind of common, but Matsuzaki was really one of the first, if not the first brands to introduce quality Japanese scissors to hairdressers globally.
Charles Elias is saying hello.
Hey Charles, you'll be happy to know that we're using some Goldwell product today.
My favorite Goldwell product.
Our friends at Goldwell Cow sent me some curly twists, so I've been using it as my cutting lotion. And then when I'm finished with the shape, I'm going to use some Curly Twist Curl Splash. It's a curl gel, and we're going to let her dry in the beautiful sunshine here. Okay, so coming through the layers in the back, over-directing slightly forward, but lifting considerably more. Finding my guideline at the top, bias blade on a diagonal, and you can see that short to long. Basically that face frame from the front has just continued all the way through the haircut until I run out of hair to cut right here. And let's look at that effect.
So all these layers you brought off to the side over the ear?
Yes, you can decide how much. I've over-directed them more towards the ear, so they'll be heavier in the middle. I could also walk around the head and get more layering. But since mannequin hair doesn't grow, I'm trying to keep this a little heavier. So literally people would tend to call this rounded or oval because it kind of drops down like that, which is a beautiful shape for long hair, especially with texture. Okay, so I'm going to do that again now and do it as clearly as I can. So we've got the outline dropped out. That's already been pre-cut. We've got the face frame that turned into kind of a graduated or long layered shape. Now we've got this last little, always reminds me of Trivial Pursuit, those of you who are Gen X like me. This little triangle piece that fits in here. I'm now going to pivot off the apex, take vertical sections, and I'm going to pick up where I left off here. So this hair, I'll just comb it out first so you can see it. See that guideline? Get in close, Kel, so people can see. Sometimes people don't, there's a guideline right there, a reference point. So I'm bringing this hair over towards the back of the ear, but lifting it more considerably. And still unzipping the hair, that's how I'm able to go from short to long so gracefully. And the good thing about that is the hair could really be as long as you want and you can still get some layering in it.
So will you be taking all the hair from this section to the same point?
No, it's going to move a little bit. It won't come to one complete point, but it'll definitely come towards the front. All to one point would just make too heavy of a corner in the back. I don't need the corner that heavy.
I believe Nanette is saying she has this exact pair that she bought from way back in the day, and she says that she's paid more than $150, more like $500 at that time.
Oh yeah, I mean they're very, yeah. The truth is he's had these, he just wanted to get rid of them. He's suffering too, and since we're able to buy, a few hundred pairs at once, again, I just thought it would be in the best interest, not only of Hairbrain so that we can keep growing and stay in business, but of our fellow hairdressers. So yeah, you can Google it if you go. They're still available out there in the world. They're called Matsuzaki AXRs. That's one pair. I saw them still being sold in Australia for over $400. But again, just trying to pass that on to you guys. Again, just doing our best to help everyone. And I started noticing hairdressers, especially in some of the states that have already reopened, saying they're using 2 or 3 pairs of scissors just so that they can get sanitized in between. So I remembered, because I'd been told about this lot before, and I'll be honest, it just went in one ear and out the other. I didn't know what this meant. It was like a bunch of rusty scissors, but I remembered it, and I asked him, and he said, no, I'll send them to you. They're in perfect, pristine condition, like basically been locked in a in a closet for 30 years.
Can this haircut be used on people with thin hair?
Yeah, I mean, really any type of haircutting technique should be able to be adjusted to any texture. It's all about how you manage the weight distribution. You know, do you elevate more? Do you elevate less? Do you use more tension, less tension? Do you change your cutting angle? You know, to me, I'm a very simple hair cutter and I only want to know things that I can use on really almost anyone. But I also want to know that the weight management is what it's all about. So would I maybe keep my layering a little bit longer, keep my elevation lower, or the opposite?
And the name of that scissor again was the Matsuzaki.
That one was the AXR. But there's going to be probably 5 or 6, I think there's 6 different variations. I only have one here because I said, please just send me one right away so I can see what the quality is like. And once I got it, I was blown away. I mean, it was like a brand new package, you know, beautifully packaged in the original packaging. Matsuzaki, Japan. And when I opened it up, I was like, wow, that's exactly like a 5-star that I have, you know, at least it feels like it in terms of the shape.
Doris Smith is here and saying hello.
Thanks for being here. It's great to have our longtime friends and supporters. You know, hope some of you guys are getting back to work safely now. I think that's important. You know I still have clients in New York. I've been keeping in touch with them through email, through text messages, and as soon as it's safe to go back in New York, I'll be on a plane to cut hair. So I'm excited. I normally go, you know, once a month for a week, and you know, try to do as many of my clients as I can. But it's been 2 months now, so they're missing me, I'm missing them, and just like you know, losing considerable amount of income. Okay, so you can see the basic concept of the shape here. Simple shape, face frame, elevated out to about here, and that face frame, if I hold the face frame here, Cal, you can see it's short to long, and then I've just elevated that out gracefully like so. I'm going to switch back to this Matsuzaki scissor to do some checking now again.
Ashley was wondering, is there a difference in over-directing this cut to holding it at 90 degrees?
Yeah, the more you over-direct the hair forward, you know, the longer it's going to be in the back. That would be the main difference. And if you'll notice, this hair was combed away from the apex instead of over the top of the head. If you comb this over the top of the head, it would turn more into a shag. You know, so this is a long layer. It's got a lot of layers to it, but I don't think anyone would start to think of it as a shag. But if I used exactly the same technique, but combed over the top of the head rather than down and away, it would really be almost exactly like a very popular shag that we're looking at nowadays. Checking with the scissor, looking from the longest point, working my way in. And sealing and cleaning the ends. There shouldn't have to be a lot to come off here. Just air cutting gently. A little bit of curly twist again to prep that hair, and then we'll do some checking on the opposite side. I think I'm going to do one more type of weight removal with the razor, and then I'll basically have my shape done. So simple, but you know what I always say, simple is not easy. So what I did here is simple, and for me, that's my favorite kind of hair cutting, simple hair cutting that can be done extremely well. Doing it perfectly, getting perfect balance, perfect texture, that's what it's all about to me. And you know, sometimes I want to be complicated, or what maybe we call it advanced or creative hair cutting. I tend to do a lot more of that with the scissor or the shear. I feel like I can create that kind of a look, where a razor for me is a beautiful commercial. And you know, I have to say, for me, it can be fast. I can razor in classic shapes with the razor. For me, I do probably half the amount of time that I do it, you know, with a scissor. So
what you're doing now, you're going through your sections that you've already done in the same manner and just...
That's correct. I'm just checking or sealing the ends of the hair here.
So it's not necessarily a cross-check, you're just going through the exact same motions.
Yeah, I haven't really cross-checked here because the softness and looseness of the angle, I could cross-check. If I wanted to cross-check this, through the front I'd come through vertically, like this, And I'd bring this hair up and forward and I'd look. Now I'm checking it at quite a high elevation compared to where it was originally cut. So I want to really not change anything. But this would be more true cross-checking for this. I'd bring it up towards the center and check. And you can see that the shape is there. If if you don't really understand it 100%, cross-checking this can get a little bit sketchy. So if I see a few little extra pieces there. And I won't even really cross-check into here because one false move and I'm going to change this into not a great haircut. It's going to look too much mullety. Cross-checking in the back, I can come through horizontally like this, lift this up. I should have a little bit of a corner in the middle. So this will give me the opportunity to round through that corner. And that corner is there because of over-directing away from the center. Very important to bring this up and look for this corner here.
Tons of support, Gerard. Lots of love coming in from Lisa, Nanette, Lori. Ashley has been here with us. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your support.
So if you've been with us from the beginning here, I mentioned that, I've been, one of the silver linings of this quarantine has been I've been able to spend time DJing, mixing music again. I'm wondering if anyone else out there has rediscovered a hobby or a passion that they didn't have time for. If you found a way to share it with people online, because it's really helped me to be able to do it. It's kind of therapeutic in a way. So I see some people that are cooking, doing their own cooking shows, painting shows, all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, wetting down one more time with curly twist. Nice light kind of curl priming spray. I'm going to do one last technique with the razor. I like to call this backhand razoring. And it's a way to elevate and get a little bit more separation into the hair. Sections are a little thicker because I don't want to lose too much weight when I'm doing this. So having a little bit of a thicker section and less sections, more so than thicker, is the key. So 2 or 3 sections here in the crown.
Now, Christy was wondering, she loves his haircut, totally awesome. What would be the difference if she wanted to keep the length extra long?
No difference. The difference is when you're unzipping, you just unzip longer to get to the length. So that's the beauty of doing something like this with the razor, is that there is a lot of flexibility. As you're cutting, you just keep unzipping for longer. You can work out, the length could be to the floor. So here, just about 5 sections, 2 on top of the ears, 3 in the crown. And if you watch my hand, I just turn the razor around backwards and come in and just literally slice through some of this weight. Just lightly to finish up here. Last but not least, we're going to use a little bit of the Curl Splash, hydrating curl gel from our friends at Goldwell. Nice consistency. That's what I always look for in a curl gel. It's like a little bit, truly like jelly. It's not super wet in this case. I'm going to work this through her hair. We're going to put Irene, this is the beautiful Irene from our friends at Pivot Point. I also want to thank them for continuing to support Hairbrained. And I'm excited that later this week, I'll be starting a special program for Pivot Point. They've got obviously cosmetology students all over the country and all over the world. And a lot of them are doing social distance learning, or whatever we're calling it. I think that's the term, right? Learning from home. Pivot Point has its own platform, Learning Lab. And I'm going to be, myself and some of my friends in the industry, we're going to be doing an hour a week for those students around the world. I have a feeling it might go a little longer than an hour, because once we start talking to them, and I think it's more important than ever to nurture and connect the future professionals, because I think a lot of them are worried, and to a certain degree they should be. But what I always believe is the cream rises to the top. So if they're prepared to be the best in the industry, there's going to be, what I said to Pivot Point is I want to help train these kids so when they graduate and they go into a salon, either as an assistant or a junior stylist, that they're able to make money for themselves in the salon right away, because that's what people are going to be looking for. you know, so we put together a program to help to share that. Okay, so squeezing that in here. Now again, I could diffuse dry here, but I'm not going to. It's not very fun to watch someone stand with a blow dryer for 20-25 minutes. I'm gonna let this dry naturally. I'll put up some pictures and some finished looks on my own Instagram, which is Gerard Scarpese at Instagram. I've got plenty of videos there as well on my IGTV. I want to thank you for joining us, and I'll let you guys know about the Matsuzakis real soon.